Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to class 9, subject English. So, today we'll be learning a good lesson, the best advice I ever had. So, before we start up with the lesson, I have a question to you all. When you commit a mistake, for example, you speak at the top of your voice and fight with your sister or elder brother, what is the advice your mother gives you or your father advises you with? Telling that they are your elders, you need to talk to them with respect, you need to respect them. Might be you would have done some mistake, that's the reason they shouted at you, they yelled at you. So you do not have to take things to yourself so easily. If not, that will hurt you forever. So that is how in this lesson also, we learn a very good advice which saves a lady called Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit from many terrible conferences. So who is Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit? She was one of the sisters of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Who is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru? Yes, he is the first Prime Minister of India. So here, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's sister used to write articles. Article is nothing but a piece of writing which is given in newspaper or magazine. So here also Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit has written a writing for the magazine called the Reader's Digest. I hope you all would have gone across many magazines, if not in school, but in malls at least. When you're seated in the seating lounge, you'll be provided with newspapers or magazines. Every magazine has its name, weekly magazine, and so on. So there was a magazine called the Reader's Digest in which there was an article written, the best advice I ever had. Why do you think she has written this article? Might be this is a very serious incident in her life. Yes, it's one of the very serious incident in life, and this advice was given by the father of our nation. Who is the father of our nation? It's none other than Mahatma Gandhi ji. I hope you all know this. Yes, good. So now, look into page 1. The best advice I ever had. Written by Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit. There's a warm-up activity given. You need to do this by yourself. You just need to look into the pictures and match those pictures with the given column on page 1. So this lesson given below is an article written by Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit, one of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's sisters. She wrote it for the Reader's Digest, a monthly magazine, when she was the High Commissioner for India in the United Kingdom. So she is not a common lady. She was the High Commissioner for India in United Kingdom. The best advice I ever had came from one of the greatest souls of the world has ever known, Mahatma Gandhi. This took place on a very sunny afternoon a decade ago. What do you mean by decade? 10 years. So this incident took place on a very sunny afternoon 10 years ago. So what happened? Most people pass through a period of anguish when their belief in humanity is at a low ebb. I was in such a period. Who is this I? I is the writer, Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit. So she is telling an incident which happened to her in the life. It was such phase of life where she loses her husband and she has 2 daughters. And in olden days, people believed that no property share will be given to the lady who do not have husband and neither a son. So such thing also took place in Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Pandit's life. So see how she comes across this phase of life. Anguish means mental suffering. Something goes wrong and you keep thinking about the same thing and which causes illness for you. I was in such a period. My husband had recently died. My deep sorrow over his loss was followed by the humiliating realization that in the eyes of Indian law, I had no individual existence. In olden days, many years ago, before independence, it was a law which was introduced in India telling that a woman who doesn't have husband should also die along with the husband. Sati and Johar system. I hope you all would have studied in your previous classes in social studies. Sati system is nothing but when the husband is burnt. After his death, the woman has to go sit on this fire. Same, the Jauhar system also was being followed. So Mrs. Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit was also treated the same way in her family and society, that you have no husband, so your existence doesn't give any sense to us. Along with other Indian women, I had participated for years with men in the national struggle for freedom, working and suffering side by side with them until it had finally been achieved. Yet in law, we women were still recognized only through our relationship to men. So the writer is telling that she was a freedom fighter, because India was never a sole country. We were ruled by the Britishers. So in order to become free from the Britishers, there was a very big struggle which was fought by many great soldiers. We can call them as freedom fighters. So Mrs. Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit also participated in this freedom struggle. And what people believed was, people recognized a woman only if she had a husband. So this is how women's reputation was in the society. But once the husband was lost, she was not considered a part of the society or family. Now, as widow without a son, widow in the sense, a lady who loses husband, she is called as a widow. I was not entitled to any share of the family property, nor were my two daughters. So since I told you the beginning of lessons, she had only two daughters and no son. So here, after the death of her husband, she told that you will not be getting any property share in your husband's family. I resented this galling position. I was bitter towards those members of my family who supported this antiquated law. So, here, galling means annoying. You get annoyed, in the sense irritated by something. So here also, in Mrs. Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit's life, when her family members supported the old law telling that you will not be given any share, she was very irritated by